Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Let me eat your chicken wings. The song doesn't make any more sense now, unless that dancer is a bird. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, bars, and welcome to Monday. Welcome to Monday. You know what we do. We come in hot, and we come in ready on Mondays. It's nice to have you back. Welcome. Gotta stay hydrated, kids. Gotta stay hydrated. Welcome. Tiny dancers, birds, everything. Listen, I've been outside of Austin. I think I live outside of South Austin. Okay, listen. Geography, a compass, not my forte. Never was a Boy Scout. All right? I know somewhat directions, but I'm never gonna be a guy that when you ask me for directions, I'm gonna be like, yeah, head northeast. I'm gonna be like, yo, head north-south. And you're gonna be like, what? But I believe I'm outside South Austin. I got to be honest with you guys. Listen, I've been here officially for over a month in Texas. Sometimes I'm hard on myself. I beat myself up for like not getting enough done, but I'm like, I've been here for a month. You know, that's when reality sets in. But a few things that I've realized about my time here. This is a goddamn beautiful place. All right. It's a beautiful place. So lush with greenery. Austin is actually considered the greenest city in America. I don't know how true that is, but I read it in an article. So, and if there's one thing you know about the internet does not lie, ever. There's never been one false thing ever said on the internet, okay? And you need to know that. That's the truth. You can take that to the bank and deposit it. Bars, money, bars, gold, bars, enough bars, all right? Been here for a month. The greenery, and not only that, there's a deep, dark secret about me that a lot of people don't know, okay? Some people have gotten hints at it from the pigeon stories and my affinity for a pigeon. Listen, I'll take a pigeon over a parrot any day, all right? You bring a peacock into the game, I'm going to think twice before I pick that over a pigeon, okay? Listen, there is not many birds you could put head-to-head with a pigeon that I'm not picking the pigeon, you know? We would have to start getting into real exotic, illegal animals, you know? Something like an American bald eagle, possibly a vulture. But here's the thing. Pigeons, low maintenance. They coo with a little bit of food, all right? I start getting to vulture territory, those things probably take huge shits. I'm going to be cleaning that cage a lot. Here's the other thing. The way a pigeon sounds, it's very soothing, okay? Similar to the effects that the coqui frog has on me in Puerto Rico. Some people thought a goddamn coqui frog was in the room. That's how good that impression was. Listen, there's nothing like falling asleep in Puerto Rico with the rain falling and a coqui frog out in the distance, them just talking shit to each other. See, we think that's cute and adorable, but you know what that coqui is really saying? Wanna fuck? Wanna fuck? Who wants to fuck? That's what a coqui is doing. That's a mating call. It's literally just sending audio dick pics to any of the female coquis in the vicinity, you know? What do you think of this, you know? Before I get completely lost in this rabbit hole, listen, I know we've taken so many turns and we're going to get back to it. My deep dark secret, before we get lost completely, dick pics. What? Why? Here's the thing. Your boy is a man at the end of the day. Take a good look at me. I belong somewhere on a lumberjack commercial, okay? Not the lumberjack in the distance, just watching with binoculars, okay? Have I sent dick pics in the past? Yeah, because that's the culture. That's the culture I grew up in. I grew out of that phase very fast, and I never sent an unsolicited DP, if you will. Okay, I got to clean this up. Grandma could be watching. Parental advisory advised. All right. I grew out of that, and I've never sent an unsolicited one. I don't know how that is how people lead with that. Because listen, your boy has gotten weird DMs. Okay, I get unsolicited stuff, and I never even let people know I see it. Okay, and I don't really go into my message requests anymore. That's between God and them. Okay, that's between them, God, and the devil. Okay, they're going to sort that all out on Judgment Day, what people send. Okay, but I don't get the mindset of sending a dick pic. It's like the grossest bat signal you can send out of like, hey, what do you think with it? It's like cutting through like maybe there's a time and a place for it. Like maybe there's a website like ratemydick.com, which maybe I'm sure there has to be. That domain name is not available. Okay, no way. If not, I'm purchasing it for investment purposes. Like who just thinks, this, you know what this chick wants to see? You know what this influencer chick wants to see on Instagram? My dick. And listen, if you dress it up a bit, maybe you get some studio lighting, nice vignette around it, kind of play with the tones a bit, a nice focal length blur, all right, on it. Maybe a nice black and white. What is that other? Sepia. You just get some nice earth tones in there. Maybe turn it into a work of art, okay? Maybe then it's more acceptable. But some people, they hold it like it's a goddamn fish that they just caught on the river. And they're just like, hey, what do you think? What do you think of this? But my young kings, here is the way. This is for anybody who's ever going to engage in this. Never have stuff in the picture that's identifying, okay? Don't be one of these fucks who put your face in it or puts, your goddamn social security card next to it. Okay, don't have your driver's license in the picture, the back of your credit card. Don't have your yearbook, okay, next to it. All right, and definitely don't have an animal there. Okay, that's a weird flex because I've never seen anything like that. But how weird if someone sent a picture like that and there was just, you see like a dog tail in the back, and you're like, this dude was just fucking doing this with a dog in the room. That dog needs to be rescued. All right, that is emotional abuse. They have therapy dogs. So that dog needs dog therapy. Bars, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it's just a weird thing. That whole lifestyle, just sending pics like that. Why? It makes no sense. And the government's looking. You just think all this stuff is filtering through and it's not going to be just checked out, spread all over, all these cloud leaks and hacks. It's just not smart, Where were we? Pigeons. Oh yeah. What kind of bird? You know what other bird I would want? An owl. I would want an owl. But here's the issue with owls. They screech. And they're very smart birds, so they would just probably always look at you with a condescending look and be like, you fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. But here's the other thing. Are owls really that wise? Because that's always been the thing of like a wise old owl. Some people say I turn into an owl. Like when I'm really tired, my hair, before when I had hair, I would just curl up and I would do this. You guys ready for an owl impression? That's a perfect owl right there. I'll do it one more time. Ready? Owl. Hashtag owl bars. My deep dark secret. Something that I've really engaged in addiction, if you will. Bird watching. I have an addiction and an affinity and an inclination and a desire and an urge, a primal urge to bird watch. I don't know what it is. I think I'm like Darwin reincarnated, where I just like to go places and see birds. I know it's weird, okay? or it's old. But here's the thing, I've been like this since I was a kid, you know? That's the thing. I think I was destined to just be the greatest bird watcher there ever was. All right. I'm over here trying to fuck around, make short films and do comedy and music and all this stuff. I should have just been spending my time taking pictures of birds. Okay. That's the real fulfillment. It doesn't even matter what kind of birds. I just like looking at them. All right. It could be a goddamn sparrow. I just want to take my time, get my peepers on it, take a long gander, see what it's up to. All right. You know why? You know what I think draws me to birds? For one, it's because it's the same thing that draws me to, like, there's no controlling that environment. It takes you completely in the moment. When's the last time you saw a dope bird in public and you just go, oh shit, and you don't want to spook it? It's the same thing like seeing a deer, because there's no control over this moment and you have to be completely in that moment. No one's looking at a goddamn pheasant. You see a pheasant out in the wild, no one's going, I wonder what Bitcoin's at, you know? I think that's what it is it's an escape, and it's something natural and something rare, because dude, I see red cardinals and shit now. I see all these mythical creatures to a kid who grew up in California that I just never saw. I would only see them in fucking Christmas books, you know? A red cardinal? That's a fucking Pokemon to me, all right? I never saw those growing up. So when I see one, it just like, it takes me back for a second. I'm just like, wow. I'm just looking at it, doing its thing. It's just hopping from branch to branch, posing. Okay? It's rare. And it's not the same as, you know, seeing a duck in a pond, because you're like, yeah, of course you're fucking here. You know, I grew up around Apollo Park. Shout out to Apollo Park. Yeah, people would just take their goddamn pet ducks there, just drop them off. You live here now, this is your home. You go to a pond, you're expecting to see a goddamn duck in the water. But you go out to a nature walk and you see a goddamn red cardinal just chilling there, or a golden finch. It's a rare opportunity. You know, you had to be there at the right time. It's dope. And I'm never going to apologize for who I am, all right? But I think I figured out what it is. I think it really is that it's an escape, and it's a moment to just, you get lost in the process. I think that's one of those things that is so important that we like have lost a bit in our constantly overstimulated life that we live. Listen, your boy has got caught up in it, and I do things to stop me from getting overstimulated by all this shit. Like going on the explore page on Instagram, I catch myself like a goddamn drug addict where I just open my phone, open Instagram, explore. Okay, what do we got? We got animal videos, we got bitches with titties, we got all this stuff. It's just the same shit over and over again. And I catch myself going to the explore page, and I'm like, why am I just closed my phone. I'll be like, no, stop. So I'm starting to put roadblocks on. I'm almost at the point where I'm like, I'm just going to delete social media from my phone and just upload shit, because I'm a goddamn werewolf. Okay. Sometimes you got to tie yourself down, giggity, and just not howl at the moon. All right. Because it gets in the way of like me being productive. And the point I'm making is that like anything that you can do to cut out distractions is huge for progress. A lot of times it's too easy to never get out of phase one of doing something. Like one thing I realized from a creative process, like writing or something, if I'm sitting down, and this is like what's on my to-do list usually, is 30 minutes of stand-up writing, where I'm just like, I have to go through the motions of working on bits, editing bits, writing brand new bits and ideas. I have to kind of go through that motion for like 15 minutes straight of just writing shit and nothing really happening, just to get those last 5 minutes where everything just, I get a nugget, all right? It's like, you gotta stick with the process. And you might think, oh, it's just 30 minutes. 30 minutes a day over a week is a decent amount of time that's just purely dedicated to something. And it's especially better than forcing an hour every other day. And then even, because that's like, I always am about the lifestyle of it, of just everyday small things, consistency over time, and it will grow. Because the truth is, I'm not one of these people. If you are, good for you, but who can just sit there and be like, one day a week or something. No, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to bang out 4 hours of writing and I'm going to do this and that and just power through that long session. It's not for me because it's not sustainable to me. There's no day out of the week I want to commit 4 hours to just this grueling process that is not going to give me the same feedback over time. It's like the fucking tortoise and the hare. Look at me just spinning fucking generic metaphors. But that's the thing, the distractions. And too much, there's too many times where like trying to do something, I'll have my phone get in the way of that, where it's like I hit a little roadblock and instead of pushing through, I'll just go, I want a little stimulation. And that's obviously not what I'm saying in my head. I'm just bored and I'm like, let me just look at this. Boom, and I start looking at something. Now I've brought that shit back to zero. It's like trying to roll a ball up a hill. And every time you stop and you look at your phone or you do something distracts you, you're letting that ball roll all the way back just because you hit a little hard part of the hill. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my self-help podcast. Next week, we're going to have Gary Vee on, and I'm going to teach him how to wear a beanie. Bars. But I have been here for a month. And listen, I have gotten a lot of DMs about the weather. Listen, this place... Everything you've heard about Texas, don't mess with Texas. Don't fucking mess with Texas, but not for the reasons you don't think. Does everybody have guns? Yeah, people have guns. That's besides the point. Are people tough out here? Maybe. Yeah, people are tough all over, Now, that could be different places are different than others, but my experience here, the don't mess with Texas, at least starting at the base of what it is, what breeds toughness and the don't mess with Texas attitude is the harshness of the weather. Listen, I love it. People wrote DMs, I bet you're missing California about now. No, I'm on the goddamn middle of a goddamn thunderstorm when there's a tornado watch, and I've never felt more fucking alive in my life. Okay? That's the truth. It's amazing to be out here in the elements. I love it so much, to these crazy flood warnings and everything, and all of a sudden you'll get an alert on your phone, be like, don't fucking go anywhere or you'll fucking die. Bitch, I can swim. I'm fine. But I love getting it. I love seeing it like actual weather. It does something. And then the sun comes out, because listen, joy wouldn't feel so good without pain. Sun doesn't feel so good without rain, So I love a place that actually has weather in the elements. Does it get humid? Is it going to be a rough summer? Probably. It's going to be real hot, but I got AC, baby. And my electricity bill is half off compared to California. So I'm fucking here for it. I got a good internet connection and I'm fucking here for it. But there is something about that, because in California, and this is the other side of the spectrum, is Texas isn't, obviously they had that freak winter storm. Hopefully it was just a freak one. But there's other states that, Idaho, where in the winter it's just snowed in and it's just that crazy element. Those people are tough. Those people are rugged. And that's what I think harsh weather breeds, is rugged toughness. Coors beer. Who's that guy that's in all the Coors commercials? Anyway, we're not going to go into that bit, because I realized halfway through that my cowboy impression was not doing well. All right. But I think that's what harsh weather does, is just makes harder people, and like people who are appreciative. Listen, the one thing about California, it's got great weather. Okay. But it also, you don't experience the changes in the time. It's either like great weather, cold, or hot. That's like it. And every now and then there's rain. And then the only fucked up thing is fires. And listen, I will deal with a tornado watch, rain, flooding, lightning over fire any day. Because the fucked up thing about fire is the smoke and the chance of evacuation. And, not just the chance of evacuation, the chance of your place getting fucking burnt down. Okay? Listen, I'm not with that shit, because that's always the worst. Listen, there's nothing worse than if you're going to try to wake me up at 3 a.m. and be like, we got to evacuate. And then you got to sit in goddamn California traffic for 3 hours, evacuating with all the other fucks. You know? I'm not with it. But I miss the beach. I miss Carpinteria, where I would go, almost every weekend, every other weekend, we would go up there, take some nice walks, look at the seagulls, do a little bird watching. But yeah, I'm loving it here. Something crazy. I saw my fiance and my dog and myself were out on the patio, and we were bird watching at dusk. I see this animal start scurrying across the backyard, as I call it. It's really a golf course, but it's like the nature part of the golf course. But from now on, I'm just going to call it my backyard. Because a golf course doesn't give justice to what this green paradise is. I see this animal scurrying, and all of a sudden Beowulf, she starts whimpering and like getting excited and everything I'm looking at. And I'm like, oh, is that a dog that's loose? And I'm like, oh, is that a big cat? Come to find out, it's a goddamn mountain lion. Had to get my binoculars. I got bird watching binoculars. Had to get my peepers on it. It's a goddamn mountain lion. I had no idea there was even mountain lions in this area. And this mountain lion meant business. It looked like it had somewhere to be. Okay, because it was just pop, pop, pop on the prowl. And it went all the way across the golf course and just disappeared into the abyss, Probably went and killed someone's kid. I was looking on the news for it. But I had no idea there was even mountain lions here. I don't know if they came through from New Mexico. I don't know what the deal is. Listen, I know there's exotic animal places all over here. I'm sure you've heard the statistic that there were more tigers in captivity in people's backyards in Texas than there is all in the wild. So the chance of a tiger appearing in my backyard, not that crazy, Not that crazy. That's wild. How nuts would that be to just be walking your dog and all of a sudden a goddamn tiger mauls you? The last thing that I would expect to be attacked by, a tiger. I would think I was hallucinating. You know how in movies they always have someone who's not on their medication and they're seeing an animal attack them, and then they come out of it and they're choking a little kid? I probably would let the tiger maul me because I'm like, this is just a trip. You're going to be killing someone's kid, What a way to go. You'll definitely make the news for that. Something that was crazy. This was my only thing with Austin that I realized when I visited, and we came out here probably in, when was that? October, and we visited Austin and Dallas and the areas around. And the one thing that I noticed about Austin was the amount of people camping, the homeless problem. And it was something I hadn't really known about Austin. And when we moved here, that was something that was really eye-opening. And I wrote, I had a bit about it. But here, the thing is I can't even do the bit anymore because they've changed it. And not only that, I bombed with the bit because people in Texas do not like you making fun of Texas, especially if you're from California. But I was talking about the homeless problem here. It is literally insane. Where I went downtown and it was like The Walking Dead, where off 6th Street and everything, there was literally 40 to 50 tents just all packed under the underpasses. There's homeless people all over the sidewalks. It's all over downtown Austin. And there's people, I think I talked about this on the podcast, the dude who asked for, $1 and then change, because it's if you don't have $1, you have change, and then a cigarette, and then he asked for a Venmo. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you have a phone. That's crazy. But they just they circle. Like, have you seen in The Walking Dead where, you know, when they're like going through somewhere and they like have that tactic where they put themselves in blood and zombie mix, and then they can like blend in with the zombies and like walk with them, and they're like pretending to be zombies, and the zombies don't notice them. That's how it is on the sidewalks, like waiting to do stand up or anything, like just hanging out. On the sidewalks, it will be like 4 or 5 homeless people just circling. And what they're waiting for is someone to make eye contact with them. So you just have to pretend like you don't see them. And that's what it feels like, as if you're covered in zombie mix. And you're just like, and it's like, you don't want to be a dick because everybody is a human being, obviously. But you also don't want to, you know, we got COVID right now. We got, you know, there's mental illness, and it's just a tough situation. So it made, for me, downtown very uninhabitable, where I was like, I just don't want to be down here because it's unpredictable and it's just not a good environment. And one thing that changed is Austin reinstated the ban on camping in public places, which is huge. I think there has to be better ways to deal with homeless people rather than just letting them camp. Like, it's just nurturing a problem, and I don't want to get too political with this. I worked with I won't even say their name, a foundation, and they had a very good layout of how they dealt with a homeless problem. And it was all about rehabilitation at like a real level. Because there's so much of this is like, oh, how do we fix these problems? Oh, we just throw money at it. Oh, we just give them stuff. We give them access to this and access to that, and that's what fixes it. But it's like not even at all what you have to do. Like, it takes a lot of work to rehabilitate someone. It was a really cool problem, and I really think this is how you fix a homeless problem. Other than stopping it at the core, like figuring out what was it that caused these issues. And it's like, dude, some people, you got to do a lot of work, but it's like, man, if we could find a way as a society to stop these kind of issues from happening in development, in kids, and fixing the issue with education and like kind of life, you know, because I really do think that this whole 9-to-5 lifestyle, you know, I know there's some people that enjoy it and they can do that job, but I think our culture, our society has become too predominantly in that mindset or in that demand where it's like there's an overabundance of availability of these 9-to-5 jobs that are soul sucking, rather than there being a balance of more opportunity for people who don't thrive in that situation, you know? And I think that's where a real problem is. I think that's like a stem of issues with so many people, is not, you know, reasons why they feel the need to escape with drugs and self-therapy, you know, through alcoholism or, you know, whatever it is, whatever their choice of distraction is. Me, bird watching, okay? Lucky for me, bird watching is only going to make you weird in social situations, you know? Not many people here, you're like, oh, what do you like to do? Watch birds. All right, well, we got to go. That's what's going to happen. But I think that's a real thing where it's like when you do something that doesn't make you need the feeling to escape, I think there's less problems. I think there's less friction, less abuse, so much stuff when you're actually getting fulfillment out of your life and you don't feel the need to act out, you know, with, you know, whether it's shitty parents who take things out on their kids. They shouldn't have had kids. They should have, you know, waited, become more educated, figured out their own bullshit before they just repeat a cycle of putting some bullshit on their kids. And then inevitably the kids have to eventually deal with all that shit. And, you know, there's people who deal with it in a healthy way, and then there's people who deal with it in a bad way, you know, and escaping. And I think that leads to this issue. But that's a whole nother set of worms, and we don't have enough time left in this podcast to start that conversation. But I think with homeless, there's the program that I worked with, they would like force people to rehabilitate to themselves to a certain level before they would even help them. And I think that's huge, rather than being like, oh yeah, I can just come here to shower. I can just come here to do this. I can get food. I can do that. Sweet. And I can continue to live this lifestyle that I want to live out here with drugs and not working on myself. They would be like, no, bitch. You have to work on yourself to a certain point before we even start working with you, to show us that you're willing to work. So they would make them, if they were doing drugs, they would help them get clean, but they had to get clean before they would allow them to live in their I guess their like dorm place that they had. And they would let them use their washer and dryer. They would, have halfway houses, and they had even like villages out in nature that you would be able to live in and get kind of baby steps back into culture. Because that's also a crazy thing, is like some people were homeless for so long. You drop them into culture, into a normal society, a normal living in a house and have a 9-to-5. They can't handle it. They would put people in houses and they would just sleep out in the backyard. Like they couldn't handle the change. They would have so much anxiety from being out on the streets for too long, having to fight for everything, being worried. I talked to some of the women, and some of the shit that they experienced it is mind blowing. It is so sad to hear some of these stories. But this program would take them from those situations and slowly desensitize them, would give them a purpose, would give them a pay. And that's what was great, is eventually this program, in one of the places where it was, this whole building, this whole operation, from the person at the door to the person who is actually in charge of the entire program, went through the program and before was homeless. So it was like the person ahead of this company used to be homeless. And it was one of those mind-blowing M. Night Shyamalan twists, because I didn't realize he had gone through the program, was homeless, until the very end of me working with him. And I remember just being like, holy shit, like to go from there to there and giving people a purpose and a sense of community was huge. Dude, that's like belief, and giving someone belief in them is huge. Because I don't think, the mayor in Austin, and I don't want to get political, but he can suck it. No, I'm just kidding. He keeps saying, well, where are they going to do? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? We have to be in. It's like this super ideology, but it's also this thing about like acting like people are helpless. Listen, you treat people like they're helpless and you make them feel like that, they're going to be helpless, treating people like that. And then also, I think there's a huge thing with like allowing this weird thing where you take away someone's humanity when you allow for a situation where they're on display like that, intense, and people go by them and won't even look at them because they've categorized them, myself included, because it's like, this is going to be an issue. That takes a lot away from people and their progress of becoming, part of society, and that's actually conversations I've had with homeless people. I don't just sit there and interview homeless people, but I've talked to a lot, especially in these programs that trying to rehabilitate them. And that was a huge thing that they would talk about, was how people wouldn't even treat them like people. And it wasn't until they started helping themselves they could get out of that. But they were just talking about how dead inside they would be because of that situation. And I think allowing camping and these things like this, rather than programs that can rehabilitate them, I think you're hurting them more than you're helping them. But what the fuck do I know at the end of the day? I'm just a bird-watching, half Irish, half Puerto Rican kid just out here trying to rock it in the free world, howling at the moon. All right. Am I 50% Irish? I don't know. It's mainly Scottish. That's what 23andMe said. But who gives a fuck about Scottish? I'm kidding, my Scottish listeners. I actually don't know if I have any Scottish listeners. I'll check the demographics. Watch me change my whole tune next episode when I realize that 79% of my listeners are Scottish. I'll be like, oh, welcome back to the podcast, laddies. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this Monday episode. Listen, I love you guys. All right? The show is always looking to improve. I know I always say this, but things are in motion. Always. Listen, this background looks, we're getting better. We're working on things, adjusting. This background looks like I'm running a Kama Sutra cabin out in the woods. And you know what? Everybody's got to make money. So maybe I am. All right? But I will see you guys Wednesday. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The likes help me with the algorithm. Trying to grow their YouTube. Listen, most people, I would say 99%, listen to the podcast. But if you can give a like, subscribe on YouTube, it helps me grow, baby. Helps me grow. And remember, no matter what, I still love you.